everyone, it's me, Krista. Welcome back to my channel if you've been here before. If not, welcome for the very first time to my little art corner here on YouTube. Today, I am going to be playing around with the items that came in November 2019's Artsnacks box. This did not come with a surface to use, but since it is acrylic paint, a marker, and a paint marker, I decided to use a small piece of canvas board. It is just a 4x6 canvas board, and it is one of the Utrecht ones that they used to make. I don't believe they make them anymore. I believe they were phasing them out when I got them because I was able to get a bunch for a very good price. For this drawing, I really didn't have any ideas. I just decided to draw a person with some floating hair and a third eye. An old staple here, for me at least. For the sketch, I just used a 2H pencil, and I am going over my initial sketch with the fine liner. That liner is the Faber-Castell Echo Pigment pen in 0.7, and it is in a light blue color. I actually really liked this. I thought it works really well, and I like the color. My only complaint is that I didn't like it with the shade of acrylic paint. I think the fact that I got two blues made it more difficult to make a project. And then also having the green metallic marker, they are also similar in tone that getting any kind of depth was really difficult for me. There wasn't really a counterpoint for me, and the paint is so much darker than the liner. I did try lightening it up by mixing a lot of water later, but the lightest I could get it is pretty darn close to the natural shade of the liner. It would have worked out better for me if the colors had been swapped, if the paint would have been a lighter blue and the liner would have been a darker blue, or if the liner would have just been a different color, or the paint a different color. I do end up having to cheat and pull in some other items to help it stand out more. I tried to not do that, but I just couldn't really find a way around it. Especially for the kind of painting and drawing that I do. I think these colors would have worked really well for a calligraphy situation or an abstract art thing. With what I'm trying to do here with shading and everything, there wasn't enough variation for it to really work well. And after I had lined this already in the Faber-Castell liner, I am just going in with the Liquitex soft body paint and using varying amounts of water to try to get some shading going on. I was trying to use the acrylic paint more as though it was a watercolor paint. I do like the paint. I like all Liquitex paints that I've ever tried. I do tend to prefer the heavy body, but the soft body works pretty darn well too. I also like the shade of blue. I think it's very pretty, and I definitely feel that I will use it a lot. I also think I will use that blue fine liner in certain projects as well. I also really liked the Princeton Velvet Touch Flat Shader Brush, size 4. I thought the size worked really well for the size of the project I'm doing. I think it applied the paint really nicely, and I like how it felt in my hand as I was using it. I think it has a nice handle, and it just felt right in my hand while I was using it. And that sounds so weird to say, but if you're an artist, you will understand exactly what I mean. At this point in the project, I have most of the baseline colors down, and I'm slowly building up on the acrylic part by using a little bit less water in certain areas. Still using some layering techniques. Also, the paint did apply really smoothly, and it did take to the water really well. Sometimes with certain acrylic paints, I've noticed, at least if you add too much water, that sometimes the pigment seems to get really patchy and dissolve. And I've noticed with some other acrylic paints too, if you add this much water, when it dries, it'll crackle, which can be cool for certain effects, but this didn't do that, which I thought was pretty nice. I don't get the upgraded box. I'll just refer to it as the premium box because the name of the actual Artsnacks box that is the higher grade than this escapes me at the moment. I do know that they added a Liquitex paint extender to the box, which would be pretty good. I could see it working really well. Honestly, if you're diluting paint, you should be using something like that because water can be really unpredictable, especially as the painting ages, but we are playing around with this stuff and we're trying to see how it works, and I'm trying to figure out and troubleshoot as I go. I went in with my handy dandy hairdryer to help the acrylic paint dry more quickly, and I'm also using the liner, the blue one, to help add a little bit more texture and to add a mid-tone to certain areas. Honestly, with these, it just would not have worked very well unless I would have used the acrylic paint with the flat shader brush and did an outline the whole way around using that. And that's doable, but it would have been very difficult. Here I start bringing in the green metallic marker, the zebra brush pen one. I actually really liked how this applied. It was very smooth. And because of the brush pen, I was able to get some nice variations with lines. Since it is green, I'm not sure how often I am going to use it in the future, but I do like how it works, and I might look into silver or gold ones later when the ones I currently have are used up or no longer work. And here is basically where I'm like, this is my project. I don't really think it looks right. It doesn't feel finished. As you can see, a lot of the tones end up being too similar for it to really work out. I am going over with the blue fine liner to try to help define over areas I added that green marker, and it just was not turning out the way I wanted it to. I know these aren't the only colors that came in this month's box. Let me know in that comment section down below what colors you got and how you felt about the supplies this month. At this point, I'm still trying to finagle with what I have and make it work, and it is just not working the way I want it to. I do end up pulling in a Faber-Castell marker in white. It is a Pitt Artist pen with a bullet nib. It is 1.5. And I also end up pulling in a couple of Marabu markers in a few different sizes. One is a 0.4 one, and that's just a regular bullet nib. And the other is a brush tip dual one, where one side's smaller and then there's a large brush on the other. Here's where I start bringing in some of the black liner, and it makes such a huge difference in how this looks. It's insane to me. I start with the smaller liner and then build it up after that. I decide that I want some nice, thick, juicy lines, so I switch over to the Marabu brush nib sad, the big one. So I cheated. I had to pull in some other stuff to make it work. I think that I needed just one other marker or different colors. The project felt way too incomplete to me before I started pulling in the white marker and the black markers. I like how each of the items work individually. I also like how they work together theoretically. There is nothing wrong with the way they apply on top of each other or anything like that. As I said, my palette just felt too restrictive because they were all too similar of shades and colors for it to really work for me without pulling in some other stuff. I do think that these items would be really great for someone who does calligraphy. I don't do calligraphy, but I would assume these would work pretty well, especially that metallic brush pen. I can see people being able to use that. And for people who do handmade cards, I think that would work pretty well too. But yeah, in conclusion, I'm kind of meh about this month's box. I didn't hate it. I also didn't love it. And I think most of the reason I'm meh about it is because I felt the color palette was too restrictive. There is one thing that I wanted to point out about that zebra marker that I did not bring up before. It is actually a lot more opaque than I thought it was going to be. It worked very well over the black marker because I went between that and the black marker, and I was actually surprised by how well it stood up against that. So I bet this would be great to use on darker paper as well. Just a heads up that I randomly remembered when I'm trying to give you guys my final conclusions. But yeah, overall, decent products. They all worked very well. I just didn't like my color palette, and I felt like it made the project harder than it had to be for me. And that's pretty much it. If you liked this video, please hit that like button. If you have any comments, questions, feelings, or concerns, please let me know in that comment section down below. Also, let me know what you did with this month's box, what you created. If you want to see more videos like this, please feel free to subscribe. I do want to take this moment to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day or night to watch this video and listen to me ramble about art supplies and about the creative process in general. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. I look forward to hearing from you guys soon, and you will definitely be hearing from me soon. Bye, everybody!